Hey, Central family. This is Matt Woodson, Assistant Director of Student Ministries, and I've got a special guest here with me. This is my cat, Captain. He just wants some more attention, so ignore him if you're not a cat person. But it's been a long time since I've gotten to speak to you, and for just a few minutes, I just wanted to speak to one of my favorite parts of Scripture and why it's really personal and why it's so important to me. So, this section that I wanted to talk about is Paul's pastoral letters. You'll find those in First Timothy and Second Timothy, along with Titus. And in these letters, Paul is teaching these young men, Timothy and Titus, how to shepherd the early church. They're kind of the first church planters. And he spends time talking about how the church is organized and how to effectively communicate God's truth. But that's only part of what those letters are about. These letters are more than just an ancient manual on how to run a church, and it's not just written to church leaders. It's written to everyone, any Christian. In fact, the reason why I love these letters so much is because they're deeply, deeply personal, and they give us a snapshot of the beauty of the church community. So Paul begins these letters by continually recounting the grace that he's received at the time of his conversion. So in 1 Timothy 1:14, he says that God's grace overflowed in him. So think about this. What happens whenever you fill a cup over too much? Right? The whatever liquid is in that cup flows over into whatever is around it. So in Paul's case, the grace that he's received from God pours over into everyone that he comes into contact with. You see, when he calls Timothy and Titus his children, then you're seeing a little bit of that grace. You see more of that grace whenever he spends time to thank the families that have kept him alive during the time of his imprisonment. You know, this grace that he's received overflows and is at the center of everything that he's talking about in these three letters. And these acts of grace are more than just polite gestures to Paul. They're actually transformative. They change the way we act and behave and think and feel. Like I said earlier, Paul, part of these letters is a little bit about rules and regulation for church conduct, but these rules don't come out of nowhere. They're not arbitrary. They always come back to the grace and love that we've received from Christ. So in seminary, our professors would always say, the indicative empowers the imperative. And that's just a fancy way of saying that whatever is true about you empowers you to follow whatever rule or command or request is given to you. So if you received mercy upon mercy, it actually becomes easier to follow commands that require you to give mercy and grace and love. So God hasn't given us these commandments to control us or manipulate us. He wants us to live in a community that embodies hope and faith and love that we've already received. He wants that grace and love to overflow in the community around us. Now, that's great and all on a theoretical level, but is it just a pie in the sky idea? Does the church actually live out this grace in a sacrificial love that we've been called to? Well, I have a recent firsthand experience that makes me answer an unequivocal yes. In the past few weeks after losing my father, I've been flooded with so many cards and phone calls and innumerable acts of love. And I thank you so much for all of that. You haven't done that for just me. You've done that for so many families in our church. You know what it's like to receive grace and love. And I think that's why you do what you do. I think that's what empowers you to extend that grace. So I truly live in a church that embodies overflowing grace. So, I encourage you guys to just keep on doing what you're doing. Continue to show that grace and love that you've already been shown. If you want a little bit of extra homework, uh, flip through flip through these letters and maybe think about how that grace has shaped why Paul is talking about what he is. You guys are doing a really great job, especially in the midst of everything that's going on in the world. I think the church is much needed right now, and I thank you guys so much for all the work that you're doing. So, and peace of Christ be with you guys. Talk to you later. Bye.